Places to visit in Egypt. With a fascinating history that reaches back to the dawn of civilization, Egypt is considered the oldest travel destination on Earth. The African nation's awe-inspiring temples and pyramids have captured the imagination of travelers for thousands of years. Although most people come to Egypt to view its ancient monuments, natural attractions beckon travelers too. The Red Sea coast is known for its coral reefs and beach resorts. A trek through the Sahara can lead visitors to refreshing freshwater spring oases. With so much to see and do, Egypt offers visitors a chance to create itineraries that combine culture, adventure, and relaxation all on one trip. Plan your sightseeing with our list of the top attractions and places to visit in Egypt. Abu Simbel. Even a country festooned with temples, Abu Simbel is something special. This is Ramses II's great temple, adorned with colossal statuary standing guard outside, and with an interior sumptuously decorated with wall paintings. Justly famous for its megalithic proportions, Abu Simbel is also known for the incredible engineering feat carried out by UNESCO in the 1960s, which saw the entire temple moved from its original setting to save it from disappearing under the rising water of the Aswan Dam. Today, exploring Abu Simbel is just as much about admiring the triumph of this international effort to save the temple complex as it is about gaping in wonder at Ramses II awe-inspiring building works itself. Pyramids of Giza. The Pyramids of Giza are one of the world's most recognizable landmarks. These tombs of the pharaohs Cheops, Chephren, and Mycerinus, guarded by the enigmatic Sphinx, are usually top of most visitors' lists of tourist attractions to see in Egypt, and often the first site they head to after landing. Today, sitting on the desert edge of Cairo's sprawl, these megalithic memorials to dead pharaohs are still as wondrous a sight as they ever were, and an undeniable highlight of any Egypt trip. Luxor's temples and tombs. Famed for the Valley of the Kings, Karnak Temple, and the Memorial Temple of Hatshepsut, the Nile-side town of Luxor in Upper Egypt has a glut of tourist attractions. This is ancient Thebes, power base of the New Kingdom pharaohs, and home to more sites than most can see in one visit. Luxor's east bank is home to the modern city, with its vibrant souk, the two temples of Karnak and Luxor, and the museum. The West Bank's lush farmland and barren cliffs are where the vast majority of Luxor's tourist attractions sit. With so many tomb and temple sites that it has been called the biggest open-air museum in the world. Spend a few days here exploring the colorful wall art of the tombs and gazing in awe at the colossal columns in the temples, and you'll see why Luxor continues to fascinate historians and archaeologists. Siwa Oasis. Sitting in isolation in the western corner of the Western Desert, Siwa is the tranquil tonic to the hustle of Egypt's cities. This gorgeous little oasis, surrounded by date palm plantations and numerous hot water springs, is one of the Western Desert's most picturesque spots. Siwa town is centered around the ruins of a vast mud brick citadel known as the Fortress of Sali, which dominates the view, while various temple remnants, including the Temple of the Oracle, where Alexander the Great is said to have come to receive advice, are scattered throughout the wider oasis area. This is a top spot to wind down and go slow for a few days, as well as being an excellent base from which to plan adventures into the surrounding desert. Abydos Temple. The Temple of Osiris in Abydos is one of ancient Egypt's most fascinating artistic treasures. The temple, begun by Seti I, sits amid a vast necropolis site where archaeologists' excavations are ongoing. There are various other temple remnants to see here, but for most visitors, the Temple of Osiris is the main reason to visit. Its hypostyle halls, graced by papyrus-headed columns, contain some of the finest relief work in Egypt, with various scenes portraying the pharaoh and the gods of ancient Egypt. As the temple lies north of Luxor, it isn't on the main Nile cruise ship route, so it receives much fewer visitors than the temple sites in Luxor itself and the Nile-side temples to the south. This means you are often lucky enough to wander through the temple halls with only a few other visitors on site. Egyptian Museum. A treasure trove of the pharaonic world, Cairo's Egyptian Museum is one of the world's greatest museum collections. The faded pink mansion in downtown Cairo is home to a dazzling amount of exhibits. With little labeling on offer and chronological order severely lacking, Instead, every corner you turn here is home to some wonderful piece of ancient art or statuary, which would be the highlight of any other museum. The museum's star collection is the haul of golden treasures unearthed from Tutankhamun's tomb in the Valley of the Kings. Travelers should note that the Egyptian Museum's swag of riches is in the process of being transferred to the new Grand Egyptian Museum in Giza, near the pyramids, which is tentatively due to open in November 2022. The GEM will finally provide this world-class collection with a worthy showcase and the entirety of Tutankhamun's treasures, many of which has been kept in storage for years, will finally be completely on display. Cruising the Nile. Egypt is defined by the Nile. For many visitors, a multi-day cruise upon the famed waterway that saw the rise of the Pharaonic era is a highlight of their Egypt trip. Cruising the Nile is also the most relaxing way to see the temples that stud the banks of the river on the route between Luxor and Aswan, plus sunrise and sunset over the date palm-studded riverbanks backed by sand dunes is one of Egypt's most tranquil vistas. The two famous sites on a Nile cruise are the Temple of Kom Ombo and Edfu's Temple of Horus, where all the big cruise boats stop. If you prefer a less crowded and slower experience, though, and don't mind roughing it a bit, you can also cruise the Nile by felucca, Egypt's traditional Latin-sailed wooden boats, which allows you to create your own itinerary. The vast amount of cruise boat itineraries depart from either Luxor or Aswan, but feluccas can only be chartered for multi-day trips from Aswan. White Desert. Egypt's kookiest natural wonder is White Desert National Park, just south of Bahariya Oasis. Here, surreally shaped chalk pinnacles and huge boulders loom over the desert plateau, creating a scene that looks like icebergs have found themselves stranded amid a landscape of sand. This highly scenic environment looks like something out of a science fiction movie and is a favorite destination for four-wheel drive desert trips and overnight camping, which are both easiest organized in the Bahariya Oasis. For desert fans and adventurers, this is the ultimate weird playground, while anybody who's had their fill of temples and tombs will enjoy this spectacular natural scenery.